it's customary to put a verse from the Bible or a saint at the entrance to a church or chapel. At the Jesuit chapel at Boston College, the Jesuits have put a huge verse of something Jesus said while he was in the temple. My house will be called a house of prayer. But the Jesuits forgot to put the rest of his sentence. But you have made it a den of thieves. Here, I see you have the famous saying of St. John Baptist de La Salle. Let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God. A good high school prepares you for college, right? But a good Catholic high school prepares you for life. And when I think of life, I don't just mean from when I'm born until I get to be 80, 90, or 100, or whatever years old and die. I'm not thinking of just that life. A Catholic school prepares you for life. Life on earth and the next life in heaven. As exemplified in the resurrection of Jesus, which we've been celebrating all week, beginning at last Sunday. How do we get some of that heavenly life? Jesus was real clear. He who believes and is baptized will be saved. He also said, he who eats my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me and I in him, and I'll raise him up on the last day. So I've sprinkled you with water in memory of our baptism. In a few minutes, we'll receive Holy Communion, the body and blood of Christ, from this altar. And there's one other thing. He said, well, what if I'm a sinner and I don't deserve to go to heaven? In his appearance to the apostles, after he rose from the dead, which we just heard the account read by Father Jason, Jesus said to them, he whose sins you shall forgive shall be forgiven. And he whose sins you retain or don't forgive will not be forgiven. Today we bless, consecrate, dedicate, set aside for sacred use this chapel. It's already a beautiful building. I mean, I love how the windows open in the back. I love how when we walked in, you see Mary there. And that's a big characteristic of the French school of spirituality, of which St. John Baptist de La Salle was a member. To Jesus through Mary. Mary draws you in, and then she places us with her Son. We're going to make this a holy place now. It's already beautiful. What does that mean? It means just what St. John Baptist de La Salle said there in that phrase at the door. We are in the holy presence of God. How do we make that happen? For the Jews, they called it the divine Shekinah, the divine appearance of God. First, Moses saw God in the burning bush. Then the Israelites, when they left Egypt and were going to the promised land, were guided by the appearance of God, and he appeared to them by day in a cloud, and at night in a pillar of fire that went before them in the desert. Today, in the Christian dispensation, the glory of the Lord, the divine Shekinah, is fully present and manifested in Jesus Christ. And this chapel will make Jesus Christ fully present, body, soul, blood, and divinity, in the sacrament of the Eucharist. Before he died, he left us his real presence in the Holy Communion. So we will take great care to bless the altar of sacrifice here and the tabernacle on the side there, where his divine presence will permanently reside on this campus. And there's one more thing. You students at St. Mary's, I know I looked on your website and read in the Catholic newspaper. You're very active in social justice projects, community service. You know, I don't know if it's a requirement for graduation, but I know you do. Maybe we should. I think it's a very good thing, because when you engage in social justice or those acts of serving the needy and the suffering, you become a channel of Christ's mercy that pours from his heart in heaven, flows through you, and then touches people on earth. But don't forget, we all need some of that mercy for us, not just for the poor and needy. The highest manifestation of divine mercy on this planet Earth is the forgiveness of sins. That's why Jesus made that the first thing he did for the church and for the apostles after he rose from the dead. Gave them the power to forgive sins, which has been present in the church from that moment on. St. John Baptist de La Salle said to the brothers, "You will be judged whether you take care that your students go to confession from time to time, and whether you obtain good confessors for them." Confession and communion. Two rocks, two pillars of Catholic life that will be celebrated in this holy place. The founder of the Christian Brothers said also, on Holy Thursday, he said, "Today, receive this gift of the Eucharist with respect and thanksgiving. Give Jesus love in return for his love, considering what a great benefit you receive. May this love you have for him and the desire you have to be united with him lead you to have a great love for frequent communion." I'm so happy and proud as a bishop to be able to dedicate this holy house, this sacred temple of the Lord, this place where the divine Shekinah, the presence of Jesus, will be here to welcome students anytime that they want to come in and receive that gift of peace that Jesus said at his resurrection. Peace be with you.
I have a few remarks, and one of the things that has been understood from the beginning is that this chapel is a gift to the students. Its intention is really something that is to serve the needs of the students in the St. Mary's community, but the primary focus has been the students. And with that in mind, I'm going to call on three students representing the student body to make some remarks. I'd like to call on Lauren Singh, the student body president, Olivia Connor, student body vice president, and Ricardo Gonzalez, the campus ministry leader.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Gonzalez. I'm a senior and have been a campus ministry leader for the past 2 years. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to speak and to have a student chapel. I have been studying philanthropy for my senior project and why it's important. I know that we are blessed to have been able to raise money for the chapel, and we are grateful for your generosity. I also know the amount of work that was put into building the chapel itself, having witnessed the process of building it. Watching the chapel being built has been an amazing experience, and I am glad that it's complete. The opening of the chapel is an excellent addition to the St. Mary's community that will promote the growth of LaSallian principles among the students. To me, the chapel is a sign of our faith in the presence of God. We now have a reflective place on campus where a large group of students can gather to feel God's presence. I can tell St. Mary's will be an even more faithful place than it already is. The chapel strengthens St. Mary's identity under the Catholic LaSallian tradition, and with this chapel, we're declaring who we are. Visitors who drive onto our parking lot will first see a magnificent structure that is a profession of who we are at St. Mary's. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Lauren Singh. I'm the student body president here at St. Mary's. I would just like to begin with saying thank you so much for being here, and thank you to all of the donors who blessed us with this beautiful sacred space. Over E-Week, I was in a group of students traveling to the Philippines, accompanied by Brother David and Miss Kenya. And every LaSallian school we stayed at or visited had a chapel of their own. And it was incredible to witness how much pride and just love each student had for their religion and their culture and their own community. And I'm really excited to see how this chapel will shape our community. St. Mary's is known for being one of the most diverse schools around here. So this chapel will be a place for students of all faiths to be welcomed. They will be able to come here to pray or reflect or simply sit in silence. For those who are religious, this chapel will aid in deepening and strengthening their faiths. And in our reunions, 10, 20, 50 years from now, it's going to be incredible to say that we were here for the construction of and for the opening of the chapel. So thank you for giving us this incredible experience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olivia Connor, and I'm a senior and student body vice president here at St. Mary's. I'm extremely excited to be a part of this chapel opening, and I'm so thankful for all of you here who have donated and made it possible for our campus to have this beautiful edifice. Here at St. Mary's, as well as at every LaSalle school across the world, we hold a few things very dear to our hearts, one of them being our 5 LaSalle core principles, which are as follows: faith in the presence of God, respect for all persons, concern for the poor and social justice, quality education, and inclusive community. Everything we do on campus revolves around these core principles. We use them as a guide to be the best people that we can be and to continue to live out De La Salle's mission. The incredible thing about the core principles is that they integrate so easily with one another. You can't have one without the others, and this chapel is an excellent example of how the principles are woven into our lives. This chapel is a beautiful testament to our Catholic heritage, and as such is a testament to our principle of faith in the presence of God. It will stand as a beacon for our Catholic community. But this space is not just for Catholics. This is a space of meditation and prayer and reflection, open to everyone, regardless of religious affiliation. Here at St. Mary's, just as the students are expected to respect our school's heritage, we also respect one another's religions and practices. This is a space to be inclusive. And by being an inclusive space, we embody the principles of inclusive community as well as respect for all persons. Everyone is in a different place in their faith journey, no matter what religious umbrella they fall under. And in this space, everyone is encouraged to come and grow and learn. This sanctuary will provide a beautiful setting for the growth of many spirits for years to come. Students of every type can gather here or in the beautiful garden behind us and grow. Because this chapel is on campus, it is not only a place of worship, but also a classroom, where students will receive a quality education from our teachers, brothers, and also from one another. I can already see the different discussions that will be held in this very room, from talks of God to plans for helping our community, celebrations, and ceremonies. This chapel will see it all, and I am so grateful to be standing here today, surrounded by friends and family, to welcome this chapel to campus and everything it will mean for generations to come. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Olivia, and thank you, Ricardo. And they speak that from their own hearts, and it gives us all great pleasure to see that this is something that is so appreciated and so welcomed, and it means so much to these students who are all seniors, but certainly the sentiments are the same for those who are younger. And so again, we're very much looking forward to how this is going to fit into the life of St. Mary's and how it's going to impact and influence what we do here as a LaSalle Catholic school. At this point, I'd like to call on Bishop Cummins to make a few remarks.
We're at the funeral for Steve Phelps a few months ago. There was a very impressive gathering of the leadership of the Catholic high schools, and I guess of Catholic education in general. So many of you were there. But I remember being on the edge of a conversation, and the remark was that Steve Phelps was indeed a wonderful Catholic educator, and one thing he never went for was to repeat a school year. That every year was going to be an improvement, every year was going to be something different. And I think on that basis, we can guarantee that the year 2018, 2019 at St. Mary's High in Berkeley is going to be a different year. After all the years, the generosity of so many have put this chapel together. Will be a symbol and sign, and its presence right at the gate is very clear. But the words have already been said about the presence of Christ that will emanate from here, and the opportunities for the young people to have, sometimes at exam time, but not just the fruits of that are really going to be very hard to really appreciate and to give the dimension of that. I wish to pay a special tribute and thanks to the De La Salle Institute and the Christian Brothers, who have invested enormously in the East Bay for many, many years, and to the alumni, who have been a very strong force and a very loyal force. I'm sitting with the Savatis right behind me here. They were the first who brought the news to me that there was going to be a chapel built at St. Mary's High. And when I asked where, I had to come out to believe that there was room at the gate on this hillside. But I want to take this opportunity to also appreciate the years that the Christian Brothers have spent in this part of the diocese, in the Diocese of Oakland. They came here under a little duress from Archbishop Alamany from the east, because he had a faltering St. Mary's College in the basement of Old St. Mary's in San Francisco, run by secular priests, and he wanted the Christian Brothers whom he had met in Tennessee to run the place. They came in 1868. In 1870, they were in the East Bay, 5th and Jackson Street downtown, and they had a small school, St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's merged with the high school that came over when the college moved from San Francisco to down 30th and Broadway. And that became eventually St. Mary's College High School when we came out here to the wonderful old palatial hotel that served much better as a school than as a hotel. Now, I just want to pay particular attention to that not only did they have the school, but 1876, with very few brothers, the pastor of St. Anthony's Parish in just east of Lake Merritt asked them to come and teach in the school. They not only did that, but they taught at St. Mary's, St. Francis de Sales, St. Patrick's, and the farthest edge of West Oakland, and Sacred Heart. That was enormous development of an immigrant people who really had not much opportunity, but it was the Christian Brothers who gave them that, and really we have to remember that, I think, in a very special way. And the talent and the brothers were recruited from our own people. One miracle of that vocation would have been attracted to the Christian Brothers so quickly and so richly. Really a great tribute and something worth remembering. Now, of course, we had the provincial house here for many years, and the summer was very good for swimming and various things we could talk about. Also, we forget that the first novitiate of the Christian Brothers on the West Coast was Martinez. And the first vineyard to make the wines was also Martinez. So Contra Costa County was very benefited by the Christian Brothers. And the latest in that long development and long investment is the Cristo Rey High School in St. Elizabeth's in Oakland. And the words that have been used to express the thanks of so many to the Christian Brothers for the professionalism, for the competence that's being brought to that institution that seems to guarantee its success. Now, the brothers, too, have been helping in the diocese in so many ways, in the Chancery Office, in ecumenism. Brother Mel Anderson setting us on the way to rebuild the cathedral, and we are so appreciative of that kind of effort. And I think Brother Patrick Moore was mentioned to me today, how much help he was around here. Now, the brothers live a very quiet life, despite all that presence and all that investment. When we developed the Dawson Pastoral Council, I had it in my head that so large a segment of ministry in this diocese, that is the Christian Brothers, someone of them was going to be on that Dawson Pastoral Council. Now, I don't want to use the word rigged, but we structured it. But the committee had organized it so that I had 2 appointees. In case we didn't get a Christian brother by election, we would have got one by appointment. Now, I'm grateful I speak the words of thousands of people for the work of the Christian Brothers and the ministry that has been here in the Diocese of Oakland. At the same time, there was time for us as family, because my brother, of course, was a graduate of St. Mary's. There was no event in our family that Brother Eugene Ward and Ray Williams did not come. And for me, in a very special way, I remember Brother Maris when I was a grammar school kid, and how lovely he was always to me when we were visiting out here, and the impact he made on my life that I'm thankful for all these days. I say thank you. I think I'm taking on myself to say thanks for so many in the Diocese of Oakland and the richness that has been the Christian Brothers ministry here. God bless the new chapel.
Here. Thank you, Bishop Cummins. And as you know, the brothers love the Oakland Diocese. So we're very, very happy to be here. And it's this, is it this August or September, right? The brothers celebrate their sesquicentennial for coming to California. So it's going to be a big year for us too, in terms of that celebration. The other thing I wanted to do, though, I just wanted to acknowledge a few, some people that were really key in terms of the construction of the chapel. And it's impossible to really recognize everybody that has worked or contributed to this. If you had seen this place in terms of just the last 2 weeks, the number of people that were here trying to get things ready, I mean, there were people crawling over one another. It was just unbelievable. But when I started to think about all the people over the years that have had a role in getting us to this day, I'm sure they're in the hundreds. And so there are many, many people to be thanked. And of course, the donors, all right, an enormous amount of thanks, because without the donors, we wouldn't be here. This just wouldn't be. But some of the people I want to acknowledge here in terms of the planning, all right, and this design. First of all, I'd like to ask the architects, Mark Cavagnaro, John Fung, and Ellen Lowenberger, to please stand. So as you look about and see what we have here, these are the people that really put their heads to this and worked on this design in this field, and an enormous amount of effort. And I would say beyond the call of duty, all right? I think they've gone beyond what was required contractually by far. The other people I'd like to recognize is the contractor, the Roebling Company. And if all of those from the Roebling Company, please stand. When we started this project, we were thinking it would last a year. Right? And as you know, I think we're 20 months now. And so, again, the fact that the contractor stayed with this and put everything, they put all their resources into this. Their interest in making this come off right, and well, and everything top notch was just really outstanding. We've had other projects here, and I'm just going to say that this company, their commitment to this project, I really impressed me from start to finish. And their commitment, along with that of the architects, the Cavagnaro people, the same, enormous commitment to making this the best. So again, big thanks to both of them. I also want to recognize, some of you saw Our Lady of Guadalupe as you were walking down the pathway here. And we're fortunate to have the artist that did that. And I'd like to ask Hector Hernandez. Hector, are you still there? Hector. And for Hector, this was not just doing a piece of art. Hector has a very strong devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so this really meant a great deal to him. And again, this was a work of love for him. And you can see it when you look at the piece. It's just beautiful. Thank you, Hector. Another group that I want to note is that whenever you have these projects, when they're as big as this, you need some outside help to manage, all right? And our project manager for this was Cushing Associates. And so I'd ask Don Cushing and Courtney Allen to please stand. And again, their commitment to making sure that everything was done correctly, all right, done right, done on time, despite the weather and a few other things. All right. I can't blame them for weather and PG&E. But everything else, I mean, it's just tremendous what they brought to the project and how they worked with the Roblin and Cabanero. The other person I want to mention, all right, and you'll be surprised by this, but we have a person on campus who's just part of our employees whose know-how and commitment to St. Mary's day after day, year after year, really contributes a tremendous amount to anything that happens here in terms of buildings and grounds. And that is Mark Headley, our Director of Buildings and Grounds. Mark. Mark is like the insurance company along with Courtney Allen, and they kind of go around making, checking, double checking, and triple checking, and making sure that everything is happening the way it should be. And again, that's an enormous task, because when I was talking about the hundreds of workers that come through here doing things, it's hard to follow. Lastly, I would like to, this is just an aside here, okay? But one of the things we've noticed the last 2 or 3 days, there's another group that is very, very grateful to us, and that is the deer community. The deer community have been feasting the last 2 or 3 days. I don't know what we're going to do about that. Anyway, that's an aside. The other group that I would like to acknowledge are the trustees who have been supportive and encouraging throughout. And so may all the trustees of St. Mary's please stand. They have been committed to this project from start to finish and even before it started. And so my gratitude to all of them. Lastly, I do want to identify one person in particular, who really worked a lot of magic. Oftentimes I'm up here talking about this would not have occurred without the donors. And believe me, when you think about that, if it weren't for people who contributed to this project, this would still be a dream on paper. But the fact that people were willing to make the sacrifice, to think of these students, to think of St. Mary's, and to think that this is something very, very worthwhile, something that was really going to make a difference. And it will make a difference. It is making a difference. This building already is transforming life here at St. Mary's. But getting back to the donors, that's a very significant job, in terms of making that happen. And there's one man who provided a tremendous amount of inspiration and a tremendous amount of accompaniment to all of the donors who support this project. And I ask Peter Borrow. And lastly, when it comes to the donors, and every last one of you is very, very significant. And I want to make that very clear. Every donation really matters. The fact that your name is on the list is very significant to me personally and to this school. And for that, I remain very grateful. There are two donors, though, who really got this project going, gave it traction. I mean, they really pushed the go button. And for that, we will always be enormously grateful. And George and Jack Sabatti. There are people in life who really make a big difference, and many of these people are those people. And I think as we go through life, I think it's always really important to remain very, very grateful to all of them for the gift that they are to each and every one of us, and to all the people that we don't even know who will be coming in future years. At this point, I have a little confession to make, and that is that there are a few things missing. The chapel really is not complete. Right, I know it's hard to believe. And ask the students to please pass out these brochures to everybody. If you could just take a copy and point out something that is missing. All right. If you go onto the inside, you'll see this page right here. It's the one with all the color. This hasn't happened yet. It's still coming, but I want to explain this. As you know, the chapel is dedicated to our Blessed Mother. All right, and so in many ways, this is Our Lady's Chapel. Now, as you look at this wall here, there's 70 feet of blank space. This space is not going to be blank. It shouldn't have been blank today, all right? It was supposed to have had a mural, but unfortunately, it didn't happen, and we found out Friday morning that it wasn't going to happen. But here, if you look at this, right, there are basically 7 pieces of art, all right, that are we're going to be putting up on the wall here, and basically it's the artwork of a French sacred artist, Jean-Marie Pirot, also known as Archibus. And we list the titles of the artworks there, right? There's 7 pieces: the Annunciation, the Visitation, the Nativity, the Wedding Feast at Cana, the Crucifixion, the Descent from the Cross, and Pentecost. Now, the photos that you have here, you have the Annunciation, and you have Pentecost. And these are going to appear on this wall. Right? And again, you can see that the focus is on the Blessed Mother. And so I'd like to invite all of you to return to the chapel. All right? This should go up sometime next week. So after next week, if you'd like to come by and take a look at this, please, by all means, do come. And with that, I also want to mention one thing about the brochure, by the way, that this is the work of Larry Puck, and Larry did another great job on this. So thank you, Larry. I also want to thank I want to make sure I don't forget it. I'm going to. All right. I definitely want to thank Elliot Wynn and the student choir. I want to thank the campus ministry people. Did a great job. And I also want to thank Jason Mandesa and Father Bob Carlton, all right, for coming. Certainly Bishop Cummins again, Father Castillo, and again Bishop Barber. It's been an honor, and we're so grateful that you've chosen to honor us this way today. Thank you. And lastly, there is a reception afterwards. You're all invited up to the Shea Center. Will be a good luncheon. I hope you enjoy that. And then the other thing I also want you to know is that, feel free to stay here in the chapel and to mill about and look at it more carefully. There's a lot here. There's going to be work that's going to continue for a couple weeks, all right, some finishing touches and things like that. But there's a lot here to take in, to observe, and to look at. So again, a huge thank you, all right, tremendous appreciation on the part of St. Mary's and the students to all of you. And to you, Bishop Cummins, Jason, and Father Bob. Thank you.
And one more thing. Brother Edmond, we have to thank you, Brother Edmond, for your leadership here. Before I give the blessing, I too want to say thank you to the benefactors especially, and I was thinking of Raymond when I offered the Mass here for the repose of his soul, and for the souls of all the students that ever went here, and for those that have shared some of the blessings God has given them with the Christian Brothers, with St. Mary's College High School, and especially with the building of this beautiful temple in honor of the living God and His Blessed Mother. And I ask God to reward you for your generosity. It's not in the Bible, and it's not in any of these ritual books, but it's handed down from Irish grandmother to Irish grandmother, and my mother told me that whenever you go into a church for the first time, that you've never been there, you're allowed 3 wishes, and you make those as part of your prayer here, and that God will grant them. So I leave it to you for that. And now, please stand with me.